right now. This is the end of Russia. Strikes that will destroy Putin. Urgent. The dictator is cornered. The West and East have united to finish off the Kremlin. Germany has entered the war. Superweapons are pouring into Ukraine like a river. A harsh response that will blow up the Kremlin. This changes the course of the war. Apocalypse, an army of deadly robots and tomahawks. Mega weapons are already in Ukraine. Russia will not recover. The complete collapse of Putin's empire is already on air. Russia's one ultra-secret Zelensky missile. The Turkic NATO rushed to tear Moscow apart. Flames engulfed the country of gas station land, and India stabbed a knife into the back of Bunfanov. Putin is losing billions. This is the end of the Russian army. You will be shocked when you hear this. Sensation? The Russians were approaching. The occupiers were simply driven from the front. Putin's loud failure. Urgent footage from the front line. An explosion live on air with Tankin? The Z propagandists have simply lost their minds. You have to hear this. Urgent. Vymania is moving to the front line against Putin. Sensation. Chancellor Merz has burned the bridges. War has been declared in Moscow. Superweapons are pouring into Kivrikai. A harsh response from Alberlin. This will blow up the Kremlin. Europe is on the verge of a new era. What is Putin planning, and how is Germany going to put him in his place? Watch.
Germany has announced expanded cooperation with Ukraine and Israel. A new unit will be created within the federal police, which will be exclusively responsible for future protection against drones. Ukraine will also receive 2 more Patriot systems from Germany by the end of 2025 with the support of Norwegian partners.
Germany is one of the leaders when it comes to providing Ukraine with air defense systems. These are specifically the Patriot surface-to-air missile systems, plus missiles for the Patriots, PAC-2, PAC-3. This also includes IRIS-T systems. It should also be noted that in addition to these, Gepards are being supplied as well. Again, these are short-range air defense systems. It is quite remarkable that the German side is building a layered air defense system for Ukraine.
Since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Germany has been the largest European donor of military aid.
In addition to air defense systems, Germany has supplied Ukraine with heavy armored vehicles. These are Leopard 2 and Leopard 2 A6 tanks. These are among the most modern types of armored vehicles in their class. In addition, this also includes the transfer of infantry fighting vehicles. Furthermore, Germany, in cooperation with others, is jointly financing the transfer of strike weapons to Ukraine. This refers to the Caesar self-propelled howitzers.
In September, Berlin launched a new initiative to purchase long-range drones together with Ukraine's defense industry, worth 300 million euros.
It was Germany that was the first to propose an innovative approach to supporting the Ukrainian defense industry and funding long-range weapons programs. Primarily, this concerns Ukrainian ballistic capabilities and the production of strike drones. The allocated amount is about $1.9 billion. This sum is sufficient to scale up the production of strike drones under Ukraine's ballistic program, better known as Laminda.
Germany has also moved to the next stage of providing military assistance to Ukraine, which involves Berlin purchasing weapons for Kyiv from Ukrainian manufacturers as well as joint production.
Germany fully understands that the Russian Federation plans to expand the theater of military operations, including on the European continent. And the first to face the threat of a Russian invasion will be Germany itself. This is the Kaliningrad region. This is the former Prussia, which is currently temporarily part of the Russian Federation.
In 3.5 years of war, the German government has provided Ukraine with assistance totaling more than 50 billion euros. For 2026, Berlin has already included military aid to Kyiv in the draft state budget, as well as measures to enhance its own combat readiness.
If in 2022, Germany spent 1.6 billion euros on aid to Ukraine, then by 2023, this amount was about 5 billion euros, and in 2024, it had already reached about 7.5 billion euros. For the year 2025, the planned and projected amount of military technical assistance to Ukraine is approximately 9 billion euros, a significant contribution. Moreover, a separate and dedicated budget line is specifically allocated for financing the crucial production of Ukraine's advanced ballistic missile program and its long-range strike drones.
A year ago, Germany's largest defense company, Rheinmetall, together with Ukroboronprom, opened the first joint facility for repairing and manufacturing equipment. And in 2026, they plan to launch a munitions production plant on Ukrainian territory.
It is the world's largest producer of artillery shells. It is Germany that has taken on the main responsibility for supplying 155mm caliber artillery shells. And note that it was specifically the German company Rheinmetall that announced the establishment of production facilities in Ukraine, and we're talking about the production of artillery shells and a plant for repairing armored vehicles directly in Ukraine.
Let us recall that Germany has committed to providing Ukraine with 9 billion euros annually for the coming years.
Oh, Russia! Ukrainian missiles hit their targets precisely. Flames have engulfed the gas station country. Zelensky made an urgent statement. A new top-secret missile will tear Russia apart. But that's not all. In Azerbaijan, a Turkic NATO is right next to Putin. Erdogan, Tokayev, and Aliyev have joined forces. Russia is being torn apart from all sides. More details to follow.
Yes, right to the point. There's no more gas in Russia.
Something is going on there. That's why it was so incredibly bright. Something's not right there.
Friendly drones are attacking gas plants all over the country.
Another case of spontaneous combustion. In Novosibirsk, a plant caught fire where microchips and soldering materials for the Russian defense industry were produced. And dreams of being a superpower have once again gone up in smoke.
Ukrainian flamingos have flown off to warmer lands.
Crimea is burning. After the strike in Feodosia, the largest oil terminal on the entire peninsula caught fire. Crimea, what's the situation? The Ukrainian armed forces are very close.
The Flamingo in Crimea really did hit its targets. A border post and 6 FSB boats have been liberated.
Sirens and alarms on the Russian side are no reason to panic. The Russians are even having fun. The siren is blaring and the guys are singing along. NATO has started hunting Russian planes.
The alliance intercepted 2 AN-12 transport planes flying from Kaliningrad to mainland Russia.
The special military operation is going according to plan. The column of Russian mobilized troops didn't even make it to the front.
The buggies are gone. Yeah, I feel sorry for the driver. That's how it is with the buggies. They unfortunately didn't make it and were unable to succeed.
And even if they had, it wouldn't have been for long.
That van over there, the one we've already eaten, made it with the ATMSP, but 5 soldiers burned inside.
In Russia, Alla Pugacheva and Dude were executed, a finishing shot to the head with a dart.
Here they are, the traitors of Russia.
Russians are freezing! Tomsk has turned into a refrigerator named after Putin.
There isn't any. 3 months without hot water, 2 away from freedom. No one has heating. Our cold water has frozen twice already.
Are Russians better off anywhere?
In the credits speeds up, the puppy works like a motor.
Askabeva even made it to the finals. After all, the toilet tank is her element.
Spray along the edge, clean. Grishka down finish, 36 and 20. The best result of the season. Green light on the Russia track.
Oh. It seems on Solovyov's broadcast, an awakening begun.
If we don't have the strength, we need to negotiate.
Oh no. It just seemed that the main mouthpiece of the Kremlin is already promising a nuclear apocalypse.
Humanity will probably cease to exist at that point. But we will certainly go to heaven, and they will simply just die like dogs.
Lukashenko has sorted out the potato issue.
Well, you eat potatoes, right? You like them, yeah? I absolutely love them. Yesterday I sinned and ate some.
Well, now Grigorik is afraid of apples.
If you truly want Americans to track your every minute, to know precisely where you are and exactly what you're up to with all those iPhones, then go right ahead and buy them.
Putin and Aliyev met in the bunker. He apologized for the downed Azerbaijani plane and blamed everything on Ukraine. And Trump's rosy dream could come true as soon as tomorrow. Or not.
The Nobel Week has begun. And the main intrigue is whether Trump will get the Peace Prize. He insists that he deserves it more than anyone. But according to Polymarket, the chances are only 4%.
At this very moment, an apocalypse for Putin. Ukraine is receiving mega weapons that will turn the entire war upside down. An army of deadly robots. A sensation. The Netherlands have launched a secret assembly line specifically for Ukraine. Production is already ramping up. And that's not all. A crushing blow is coming, one from which Russia will not recover. The Netherlands are secretly purchasing and will deliver to Ukraine something that will destroy Russia. All the details. Coming up next.
Ukraine's partners in Europe continue to provide assistance to Ukraine in its war with Russia.
We see that this is criminal aggression. Russia must be held accountable for this. The courts need to take up this matter. Criminal aggression must end. The killings must stop. To achieve this, we need to keep putting pressure on Russia with sanctions. We must do everything possible to help Ukraine defend itself from these attacks on the ground and in the air.
As a new step in defense partnership with Ukraine, the Netherlands will contribute 55 million euros to the World Bank to support Ukraine.
We are doing everything we can to support Ukraine. And we are doing this not just in words, but in action. Today, we are announcing that the Netherlands will contribute 55 million euros to the World Bank. For the World Bank to be able to help Ukraine, it must cover the costs of recovery and reforms. Your fight is our fight.
The Netherlands and Ukraine will continue to cooperate within the framework of joint defense projects. The focus is on joint production of Ukrainian equipment in the Netherlands.
The Netherlands and Ukraine have agreed to work together on drone manufacturing. We will continue to support with military equipment, F-16 aircraft, other systems, and weapons.
The Netherlands was one of the first countries to agree to transfer its F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. The first planes were delivered to Ukraine in 2024. Washington is currently considering transferring Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. In addition to the US, these missiles are not only possessed by the UK and Australia, but also by the Netherlands. The Kremlin is seriously on edge. The propaganda outlet Izvestia even sent a letter to the Dutch diplomatic mission in Moscow, asking about the possibility of transferring Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine.
In a recent official letter to the parliament, the government explicitly stated that, given Ukraine's ongoing and significant high needs on the one hand, and the pressing vital security interests of Europe and the Netherlands on the other, the cabinet has decisively decided to allocate substantial additional funding. Regardless of whether the Dutch government discloses information about the supplies being delivered, the Ministry of Defense is guided by the principle of operational security, as well as the interests of third parties involved in the deliveries.
As reported by the Telegram channel Dava Mayora, the US Navy has received approval from the State Department to purchase about 200 ground-launched Tomahawk missiles in various configurations for the Netherlands under the Foreign Military Sales FMS program. The total cost of the program is estimated at $2.19 billion. The transfer of the missiles to the Netherlands aligns with the new rules under which Europe purchases weapons from the US for Ukraine, remind Dava Mayora. One question remains: when should we expect the first use? Meanwhile, it has already been openly stated that the Dutch Ministry of Defense has signed an agreement with the Estonian company Milrem Robotics and the battery manufacturer Tulip Tech for joint production of defense equipment. The company will supply Ukraine with more than 150 unmanned ground vehicles.
It is an honor for us to lead this project in partnership with the Netherlands and VDL. The SEMIS platform has already proven its value in combat conditions, and we believe that this contribution will significantly strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities.
The cooperation is structural in nature and is planned to last for at least 10 years. New production lines are scheduled to be launched in the coming months. In addition, Milrem Robotics will conduct comprehensive training for Ukrainian operators to ensure effective deployment and maintenance in the field. The new units complement the 15 SEMIS vehicles that are already in operation in Ukraine and have been proving their effectiveness on the battlefield since 2022.
This vehicle is capable of carrying a payload of 700 to 750 kilograms. It can transport not only the wounded and handle logistics, but it can also be used as a combat chassis since it can be equipped with both machine guns and automatic cannons.
SEMIS is an unmanned transport platform designed to support the armed forces, logistics, reconnaissance, and combat support. Currently, the system is part of robotics programs and is operated in 19 countries, including 8 NATO members.
The Netherlands is one of the most principled defenders of life, a country that truly supports our defense and our resilience. And what is also important, our efforts to achieve justice.
The Netherlands has also allocated 300 million euros for the restoration and strengthening of Ukraine over 2025 and 2026. Of this amount, 52 million euros will be directed towards energy infrastructure and water supply. Since 2022, the country has provided Ukraine with 26 billion euros, of which 13.6 billion has been allocated for military support. The Netherlands and its allies continue to support Ukraine in its fight for freedom and security.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Russian generals are capturing Ukrainian towns and villages only on paper. In reality, key positions and logistical hubs remain under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine. Moreover, the Ukrainian defense forces are rapidly advancing forward. The enemy is being forced into a shameful retreat. The occupiers' equipment and manpower are left in ruins. The Russians have simply been driven from the front. Watch all the latest updates from the front lines right now.
Time is no longer on the Kremlin side, and in a prolonged confrontation, Ukraine's chances of winning the war are much higher than Putin's. This is the conclusion reached by Western journalists who visited the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces. Ukraine's strategy in the war of attrition is showing unexpected results.
The combat equipment, while not exactly obsolete, has almost no chance of any success. Especially since even when they try to form strike groups, they still have almost no chance of breaking through. Let me just remind you of these words.
Analysts say that the enemy's constant losses and the adaptation of the Ukrainian armed forces to modern combat tactics open up opportunities for Kyiv's long-term victory. Russia was counting on a rapid advance in northeastern Ukraine. However, key cities and logistical hubs remain under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces. Russian generals in their 2025 forecasts are capturing Ukrainian cities and villages only in words and in fake reports for the bunker dweller.
It's clear that the Russian army is unlikely to be able to accomplish these tasks. But General Gerasimov, the chief of the General Staff, again, according to certain leaks that appeared online and on social media, reported to Putinovich about the latest successes of the Russian troops. He specifically claimed that the grouping of Ukrainian armed forces near the Klebanbek reservoir had been destroyed, which is not true. And in addition, he stated that Russian troops are clearing the southern districts of the city of Kupiansk, which is also not true.
What is actually happening in long-suffering but still unyielding Kupiansk was shown by the operators of the 8th Special Operations Forces Regiment. The enemy in this direction really does not stop trying to break through the Ukrainian defenses. In the Kupiansk direction, over the past 24 hours, there have been at least 8 attempts by the occupiers to attack. However, the armed forces managed to thwart the enemy's plans to advance. The defense forces repelled assault actions in the areas of Petropavlivka, Novoplatonivka, Pishchane, and Stepova Novoselivka. Using strike FPV drones, the occupiers were driven into the nearest building, after which operators cleared out several structures where the enemy had taken cover. Things are tough for the occupiers today on the Zaporizhzhia front as well, where partisans from the Rukhtesh movement helped destroy a mobile enemy command post. Concerned citizens provided the exact coordinates of the occupiers' communications vehicle, which was being used as a mobile command post to control enemy units. The destruction of this communications hub caused chaos in the occupiers' command system. Coordination between units and the transmission of orders were disrupted, which seriously affected the enemy's combat effectiveness in this sector of the front. And here are the shots of the occupiers' fuel and lubricants depot burning in the North Slobozanska direction. In the past few days, our border guards have managed to destroy enemy hideouts and communication equipment. In addition, the enemy in the North Slobozhanska direction has also suffered personnel losses. Overall, in this and the Kursk direction, Ukrainian defenders repelled 7 Russian attacks. The enemy carried out several airstrikes on our positions, dropping a total of 9 guided bombs and conducting 198 artillery shellings. The situation remains difficult in the Lyman direction. There, the enemy attacked 12 times, trying to advance near the settlements of Seredny, Novoselivka, and Derilova. Nevertheless, this special unit of Ukrainian military intelligence manages to accurately and effectively destroy enemy forces, their equipment, and drones. Due to heavy losses in this and other directions, Russian troops have been forced to slow down their offensive pace, military analysts explain. In
the end,
in September, the Russians' activity on the front decreased somewhat. The number of assaults they carry out drops in direct proportion to their personnel losses.
The official Ukrainian statistics also do little to encourage the occupiers to launch these meat grinder assaults. Thus, September 2025 turned out to be a telling moment for the effectiveness of the National Guard units. Thanks to the coordinated work of the Guardsmen, the enemy lost at least 677 vehicles in the past month alone. 418 artillery systems, nearly 200 radars, 17 multiple launch rocket systems, 29 tanks, and almost 70 ammunition depots. Meanwhile, the Russian army continues to strike exclusively at civilians and residential buildings. And it should be noted that this is happening not only in Ukraine. For example, the much-vaunted Russian air defense system hit a residential building in the Belgorod region with a missile. The video shows that the upper floors of the apartment building were struck. As a result, according to Russian media, windows were blown out in 15 apartments. About 20 parked cars were damaged, but officially there were no casualties. However, judging by the footage published online, the destruction of the building may be much more severe.
Urgent. India has stabbed Putin in the back. Moscow is losing billions and its chances in the war. A sensation, this could be the end of the Russian army. The main blow is being dealt to the factories that churn out missiles for the front. The end is approaching. Why is Moscow losing friends one after another? All the secrets are revealed, watch.
It seems Putin has a new best friend. Has the Kremlin's dictator truly traded Belarus for India?
We have never, ever had any significant problems or state-level tensions whatsoever with India at all. Never, ever in our entire history.
Previously, we heard about active joint exercises between Russia and Belarus, but now a third party has entered this duo.
And in the field of security, we have a very trusting relationship.
The Russian-Indian exercises called Indra 2025 are taking place in the Indian state of Rajasthan and will last until October 15th.
Since 2003, every 1 or 2 years, local Russian-Indian naval exercises of the Indra series have been held in the Indian Ocean, in the Bay of Bengal area.
Interestingly, Indra 2025 already took place in the spring, but for some reason, they decided to hold it again. And yes, the key word here is naval exercises, because this year, clearly something is off.
And now they're talking about holding another Indra, right? You could call this the land phase of the Indra 2025 exercises. But we're talking about exercises in Rajasthan. Rajasthan is a prominent northwestern state of India, sharing a significant border with the neighboring country of Pakistan. Given its geographical location and arid landscape, this particular detail certainly doesn't really fit with the overarching naval theme at all.
According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the main goal is to strengthen cooperation between the two countries and to exchange experience in counter-terrorism. But for India, oddly enough, it's about gaining military experience and having an additional ally.
Well, we know how Russians conduct counter-terrorist operations. In Chechnya, yes, and the special military operation in Ukraine.
But just as importantly, are these suspicious joint exercises between the two countries dangerous for other states? For Pakistan, for example.
In theory, any exercises conducted by an unfriendly party near your borders are a threat. And naturally for Pakistanis, this is also a signal from Moscow, among others. And in Pakistan, they will be closely monitoring the progress of these exercises. I'll repeat myself because once again, this is something new.
But India's loyalty truly knows no bounds. Despite international pressure, the country continues to maintain military contacts with Russia. Well, where else could Putin stick his nose if not into someone else's conflict?
And I can certainly assume that President Putin does not like at all how the American President Donald Trump is currently managing the complex Indian-Pakistani relations. He is actively striving to regain significant influence in this crucial region, especially over his long-standing allied partners. In the region, this is the first exercise including for India, one of Russia's largest allies.
But what exactly is happening at the training ground? After all, behind a nice-sounding phrase, there could just be ordinary equipment demonstrations and formal drills for show.
These are not command and staff exercises, meaning it's not about practicing the work of headquarters and command bodies. These exercises involve deployed forces, meaning the Russians have sent some rapid response forces to participate in these drills.
Alright, that's India, but what about Russia? What benefit does Russia get from exercises with India? Does Putin want to prove that he still has allies?
This is a demonstration of allied relations. It's a form of military political support. Again, in this case, it's a demonstration to Pakistan, showing Russia's support for India, military technical and military political support from Russia. They are demonstrating their commitment and support to India's political leadership because the exercises are being held in India. It's not the Indians in Russia.
But it seems Putin is already mentally packing his bags because exercises are one thing, but meeting with his Indian friend is something else entirely. Well, of course, unlike in Europe, at least there he is definitely expected.
To be completely honest with you, I am genuinely and enthusiastically looking forward to embarking on this exciting and much anticipated trip that is scheduled for early December. I am also incredibly eager to finally meet up with my dear friend, who is not only a cherished companion, but also our consistently reliable and highly valued partner in all our endeavors.
Madness on air. Russian propagandists have completely lost their minds. Now they are seriously claiming that the cavalry will save Putin in the war against Ukraine. Such absurdity has never been heard before. An effectiveness that even leaves Skabiva speechless. What exactly are they pouring into the ears of gullible Russians? Watch in the report.
Everything new is just well forgotten old. Apparently that's what the representatives of Russian propaganda thought, and they started claiming that success on the front lines now can be ensured by the cavalry.
They used horses to cover those 15, roughly speaking, kilometers of the so-called kill zone. First of all, it takes incredible training to use a horse, especially in the conditions that currently exist on the line of contact. These are combat operations, there are a huge number of explosions and the use of FPV drones.
Russian propagandists are promoting the idea of using hoofed animals on the front lines. Horses can easily escape from drones, cross kill zones, and even mines don't go off when they're around, because animals can sense them. What's the connection between metal and a horse? Let me explain.
They don't go off? Mines that are triggered by metal, yes, those don't go off. Near the line of demarcation where I am, you cover, let's say, the last 5 kilometers or so that you can then dismount and start making some kind of advance. Of course, with a horse you can cover these distances and the horse really won't get tired.
The promotion of Kovalai is also happening rapidly on Russia today. According to war correspondent Pegov, assault troops are being trained in horseback riding. Horses are a game changer on the battlefield.
As is well known, horses are much more sensitive than people. Thanks to their natural instincts, a horse, for example, won't step on a magnetic mine with its hoof. In addition, it navigates perfectly and can see in the dark, covering the crucial stretches of space from our positions to the enemy's trenches. A horse can cover that distance faster than any other means of transport. The terrain in Donbass allows it to chart a direct route without the need for any roads. So I'm confident that in the near future we will witness the historic return of Russian cavalry to the ranks. Semyon Pegov, war correspondent for Russia Today, and
here's a recent video that shows just how effective the Russian cavalry is. I feel sorry for the horse, but not for the occupier. The chairwoman of the Federation Council, Valentina Matvienko, has proposed that unemployed Russians pay an annual so-called insurance fee of 45,000 rubles to the budget. She doesn't really care that in the great and mighty country there might simply be no jobs.
Pensioners, our children, these are our families, people with disabilities. There are no questions when it comes to people with health limitations. But when young, healthy people of working age are not working anywhere, first of all, that's shadow employment. Or they simply don't want to work. Then the question is, what sources of income are they living on? I have a suggestion, he says. A healthy person can pay 45,000 a year.
As they say, if you can't do it yourself, no one will do it for you. Well, and if you have no money at all, you can sign a contract and go to the special military operation. After all, there's supposedly no mobilization at all. At least that's what they say on TV, but electronic draft notices are being sent out more and more often now.
that's the joke. Because of a delayed salary, I took out a microloan. I clicked to consent to the processing of personal data at 2:50. And at 2:52, I got a notification from the government services portal and a draft notice. Please warn people in the channel that under no circumstances should conscripts fill out anything like this. It arrived literally right away.
And this isn't an isolated case. The Human Rights Project Aidit Lesum reported a second such case in 2 days.
Just checked my credit score on the credit history website where you have to log in through the government services portal. Then I applied for a loan at T-Bank. And then, bam, a notification from Masru. An electronic draft notice.
The publication confirmed the identities of the new conscripts, and it looks like this story will only keep spreading across Russia. That's
all for now. For more major updates from the front, tune into the next episode.